those folks who are on, anybody who's online, go ahead and speak up and let's see if we can hear you in the room.
I can hear it over my phone.
Okay. Let's make sure to get the audio outbound.
I could hear myself.
I think we now have a meeting with people in the room and people online.
Ooh.
Wow. We can, we don't have to get that 12-year-old. We don't need the 12-year-old anymore. Can't. All right, 6:05, we'll go ahead and get started on the meeting. First thing is if you are online, please drop your name in the chat because that's how we'll take attendance for you folks. We don't monitor the chat for chat purposes otherwise. And for those in the room, there's a sign-up sheet on the side table along with copies of the agenda. So I will go ahead and share. I pause every now and then, that's because I'm doing admins for the people that are dropping in line. So, good evening. We'll start with our opening reflection, which is the Normal Heights Planning Group envisions a healthy, vibrant community that honors unceded Kamiah land and cares for all inhabitants. We prioritize inclusive and equitable land use, valuing people over commodification through pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, transit-oriented development, open space preservation, and affordable housing. We strive for a vibrant and sustainable neighborhood. Additionally, we promote responsible economic development that supports historic preservation, local businesses, fosters job opportunities, and enhances the overall economic vitality of Normal Heights. At this point, we do introductions of the board members.
Gross, board member, resident, and Soderberg, resident. Landlord.
And historian.
Emily Caldwell, resident, and I pay my landlord, so.
Excellent. Keep it up. And policy expert.
For someone.
Okay. Paul Coogan, I'm the chair, and also on the CPC, which is a roll-up meeting that communicates between each of the 48 neighborhood groups. I have a house here since 2010, so I'm kind of a newbie to San Diego.
Alan Hartsula, resident on the board.
Greg Stone, resident.
And also, is there some with the golf instructor? Oh, okay. And bicycle and housing.
Yeah.
Okay, bicycle and housing, and the entertainment. Community. Yes.
I'm Taylor Everett.
That's the word on the street. Yeah, she said that, yeah.
And so all of them resident. Then with the months in 1970. Playing part of it. And I'm on the board, yeah. I'm sorry.
Same carpet.
No.
And
My own tile and carpet and paint for myself.
is it Charlie is an honorary board member?
Yeah. It's a mascot.
Yes. Do we have anything to modify on the agenda? And I think we actually do some minor changes for the nominating committee as a candidate, I believe.
So it's Samantha here? Hi. Hi, is this your second meeting with it?
Wait,
Great.
Yeah.
Great, so the nominating committee would like to have an action item added to, potentially add some minutes to the board. When it's appropriate. Yeah.
Without objection?
No, I'll wait until this will be. Did that. When.
Would it be possible to turn Jim's audio on as well so we could hear like more of the room? It's hard to hear anything besides where you guys are sitting. Thank you.
Or you could come to the meeting.
Yeah, fair enough.
There might be one other agenda change. Or detail. Did city communities plan maybe?
I think you added that in the release that was emailed out.
Okay,
It's under description item.
okay. Most of the changes are under the advisory committee, so we're fine. Move on to approval of the meeting minutes for October. It needs to have an attendance added to it, which we can extract from the video, but that has not been done yet. So I am I'm going to make a motion that we do not approve the meeting minutes until.
I make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes when the corrections are.
I'll second that.
Okay. That is postponed. Or do we have to vote on?
Vote on everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Jim makes a motion. Alan seconds. All in favor? That's unanimous. And before I could put my here.
So we just started to approve minutes pending addition of attendant.
Yes.
I can take these notes.
Okay.
It's fine.
All of it, I'm stuck in waiting.
Thank you. Next up is the treasurer's report. Francis is not here. She's taking care of a sick friend, unless she's dropped into Zoom. But I think we can safely assume the amount remains the same from last time. Now we'll open up for non-agenda public comment. Yes, please.
Hi, I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself. My name is Heather Herbert. I'm running for San Diego City Attorney. I live here in Normal Heights. I'm running because I think San Diego deserves a city attorney with experience, qualifications, and a track record of tangible successes. I moved to San Diego 20 years ago for law school. I started my work representing the San Diego Housing Commission, building and preserving housing in our community and making sure that we could have housing that was affordable to to all income levels. I moved over to the city attorney's office about 10 years ago. I've represented a variety of city departments. I've worked on land use matters and parks and rec matters. I've worked with the council members on some of their highest priorities. I know what the city needs. I know how to get the job done. I'm ready to start on day one. I'm excited to be here. I would love to speak with you all after the meeting, or you can learn more about me at heatherherbert.com. And thanks so much for having me.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Can you spell your last name?
It's F like Frank, E-R, E like boy, E-R-T like Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any others? Yes, Jim.
There was a quasi committee created to update this document, which is over there. And the meeting, through my slothfulness, we haven't had an official meeting to work on it. If someone else would like to be involved, I have translated this PDF into a Word document and made some changes, for instance, to the elected officials to be contacted. And I've also asked the community recreation group that operates out of Adams Rec Center to come up with some wording that we would include. Potentially reducing the space for the Normal Heights Urban Arts Group and maybe reducing the list of information that the city of San Diego does. If we don't know that they do that already, it's kind of a lost cause. So in any case, we're working on that. The idea is to have this available as a printed and an online version so that people have access to it. If you would like to participate by helping, let me know. I'll put you on the email list.
You know where I stand.
No takers? Paul's on it already?
Yeah.
Great. All right. That's it.
And I think Bernie's wanted to help as well, but,
Say again?
Denise,
Yes, I have.
Yeah. I think she's also, so when she has time, she's on double shifts right now. I'm gonna make an announcement on behalf of Fernando. He had requested that to get the message out that he is running for D3 City Council. And he's having an open house on Friday, November 17th, from 6 to 8. The address is 4827 East Alder Drive in Kensington. The RSVP is to Cynthia Garcia, and the number is 619-850-1704. And if you didn't get that, you can always email the chair at the Normal Heights Planning Group, and I'll get back to you.
Ask your question.
Yeah.
And that's D3, not D9?
I'm sorry, did I say D3?
Yes. It's D9?
D9, okay, D9. Digital communications, next door, Facebook, email, etc.
Excuse me, what was that contact number again?
Oh. Well, 619-850-1704. And that's Cynthia Garcia, his wife. She's, I think his campaign manager too. Next up is action items and decisions by the board. Public comment regarding Normal Heights land use and related Normal Heights community issues. I'm sorry, I'm wrong on here. Presentation on Mid-Cities Community Plan Update Process by Alex Frost. He is in the Zoom session now. Alex, I can make you a co-host.
Great. Can you hear me? I'm going to share my screen now. Right.
And we do see that in the room here.
All right. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a very impressive hybrid meeting format. One of the better ones I've attended. Thank you for providing us the time to speak today My name is Alex Frost. I'm a project manager with the City of San Diego City Planning Department, and with me is Natalie. She can introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. So my internet can be unstable, so I'm not going to go on video, but you did see me, and here I am again. I'm an associate planner with the City of San Diego, and most of us in the long range planning department are serve as liaisons between the community groups and the city, and I am that designated person for Normal Heights currently, but we all like rotate. So that's why this is probably the first time you're hearing of me or meeting me. But I would be the person that if you had any specific questions about this particular presentation or any upcoming long range plans or projects that you would reach out to. Thanks.
Thanks, Natalie. The agenda for today's presentation, there will be a quick introduction, just going over citywide policy framework, what is the community plan, and why is the community plan being updated. Natalie will provide that portion, and I will provide a mid-city snapshot, just some social demographic information and process and timelines, so just going over the schedule and focusing on the phase 1, where we're looking to generate community ideas and existing conditions report and highlighting other initiatives, and we can have some discussion questions and answer. So I'm going to pass it on to Natalie for the introduction section.
All right, so for some context here, we'll do a brief overview of what the city planning department does, and a lot of it is writing plans. And our general citywide policy framework begins with the overarching City of San Diego general plan, which provides a policy framework for how the city will grow and develop into a network of villages. The climate action plan falls under that. That was completed a couple years ago, and that identifies citywide emission reduction strategies. There's also the Parks Master Plan, which establishes the recreational value-based park standard and uses a point system to determine which communities have, the most in terms of parks and open space resources versus the least and more underserved, and therefore it can help us determine need and where those parks should be located in the future. And then we also have a climate resilience plan, which prepares for and responds to hazards. So some more background here. The City of San Diego, as you probably know, has been divided into 52 community planning areas. Normal Heights is within the Mid-City community planning area. So that goes along with City Heights and Kensington Talmadge, and those make up the Mid-City area. And the general plan land use element provides our department and the city at large a broad base of land use policies that apply to the city as a whole. So no one community is given its own unique specific set of land use policies. They're distributed across the entire city. And these community plans provide context for that. They might make any specific amendments or unique changes to the community within that plan and provide some more detailed guidance for how the community will grow over the next 30 years. So some more background on the community plan, besides the fact that graphic design has drastically, the quality of graphic design has drastically decreased since the 1960s. Apologies for the little, oh yeah, no, it's fine on yours actually. So since 1965, we've had community plans for the Mid-City area, and these include policies on land use, mobility, urban design, community facilities and services, open space, historic and cultural resources, and economic development. And at periodic times, we will write community plan updates, and those are done with community engagement and discussions with stakeholders in the community. And we do this under the guidance of the general plan and its land use element and other citywide policy frameworks to achieve both citywide and community level goals. So why is the community plan being updated? The community plan is being updated to shape the needs of the future of Mid-City for the next 20 to 30 years. We are currently seeing a lot of changes throughout the city of San Diego. We update these community plans in order to adapt to those changes in development, population growth, schools, infrastructure, et cetera. So the four main goals here are to address regional growth and housing, understand the needs of the community and quality of life, evaluate infrastructure demand, and reduce environmental impact. And again, why is the community plan being updated? Like I described, but we have been granted specifically for Mid-City by SANDAG a grant in order to write this community plan update for Mid-City, and the funding will be used to support the plan update through the next several years, and that will include research, public engagement, technical studies, and the drafting of the plan. So these goals we attribute to all the community plans. These are taken from the general plan, and they're not hierarchical, but we do have a primary focus right now in San Diego to be able to house our residents and create enough homes for all of us. So that means we're focusing on opportunities for housing within mixed use, commercial, and residential areas. We're identifying opportunities for new public spaces and parks. We identify opportunities for mobility infrastructure that will improve a multimodal network and circulation. We champion sustainability and promote opportunities for more street trees to provide shading and also green infrastructure to address stormwater runoff and protect our open spaces. And in general, we're just tasked with fostering a regional prosperity in order to bring and attract employees and employers and create enough housing for all of us.
Thank you, Natalie. Just to clarify, this is City of San Diego strategic plan, priority goals. Just appreciate it. So moving on, Mid-City snapshot. As Natalie explained, Mid-City is comprised of 4 communities: Normal Heights, Kensington, Talmadge, City Heights, Eastern area. The total area is about 8,000 acres. There's 140,000 people that live in Mid-City. That's about 10% of city population. Over 52,000 homes, 20,000 jobs, and 24,000 parcels. Normal Heights, great community and neighborhood. It's about 12% of the population of Mid-City live in Normal Heights, with about 2,000 jobs and a median household income of $75,000. This is the 2021 SANDAG estimate. Kensington Talmadge, the neighboring community, about 11% of Mid-City resident call Kensington and Talmadge their home, with a median household income of $17,000. City Heights, about half the Mid-City residents, 70,000 people, live in City Heights, with 8,600 jobs and 46,000 in median household income. Eastern area is geographically the largest, over 3,000 acres, and about 26% of Mid-City residents live in Eastern area, with 7,500 jobs and 63,000 dollars median household income. So very diverse communities within Mid-City. In terms of process and timeline for this communities plan update, we're planning to launch early December. So we wanted to come to the planning group early to give this early overview and getting some feedback. But the first phase will be focusing on generating community ideas. So collecting input from people that live and work in this city about how to improve the community. And phase 2 will be focused on community validation. So collecting input on early options based on community ideas, which we're estimating to occur starting next summer, and leading to the first draft of the community plan probably by summer of 2025. And there'll be another opportunity for feedback. And phase 4 is focused on second draft and environmental analysis. So we'll look at the potential environmental impacts of the proposed update to the community plan. And then finally, phase 5 would be adoption hearing process sometime in 2026 to finalize the update to the Mid-City Communities Plan. So right now, we're estimating 2.5 to 3 years for the plan update process. All right, and just focusing on the phase 1 community ideas, we'll be launching our project website and promotional videos in English and Spanish early December, and draft existing conditions report probably early next year. We'll have this available, and we'll begin community conversations. And we're partnering with Cal Poly SLO students. There is a community planning studio that's occurring for 2 quarters, and they reached out to us earlier this year. And so they'll be helping us with some of the pop-ups, so going to existing events and activities and beginning the initial outreach and potentially organizing focus groups. There will be various opportunities, meetings with community members. We'll be hosting office hours in different parts of Mid-City, so you can come and see us in person. And we'll also be doing some youth engagement, potentially working with Hoover High School students and some elementary schools to, engage the young folks in Mid-City. And we are also proposing a joint Mid-City Community Plan Update Working Group and an application. I am aware there's already an existing joint Mid-City Communities Plan Update Committee, which is fantastic. The community is self-organizing and meeting. And so we are thinking each community planning group would be able to nominate their representative and one alternate, and the rest is open application for anyone interested. We are really looking for kind of broader representation and participation, especially since 70% of Mid-City residents or household is renters. So really looking at, kind of diverse makeup that's proportional to the Mid-City area. And we'll also have web map and interactive web map and story map during phase 1, summarizing findings from the existing conditions report. And there will be probably several surveys and open house workshop. We're thinking probably February or March of next year. So this will kind of be the initial first phase of the plan update. And just highlighting the Mid-City Atlas existing conditions report. the existing conditions report provides an overview of, the baseline of where we are as a community and how we got here, and some of the challenges and opportunities in Mid-City area, and really focusing on mappable resources, trends, and critical concerns that will frame choices for the long-term physical development of Mid-City communities. There'll be a lot of maps, photos, charts, tables about history and place, sustainability and climate resilience, land use, mobility, and parks, public facilities, and open space. Those will be the 6 chapters that will be part of the existing conditions report. And also wanted to just highlight other initiatives that's occurring concurrently. SANDAG is working on a purple line alignment study. It's a 2-year initiative, and there is a potential for a new high-speed rail station in Mid-City. And I believe SANDAG will be beginning their outreach next year. So we're closely collaborating on that. General plan refresh and blueprint, I'm sure you're familiar with amendment to the general plan process. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. And college area community plan update, which is north of Eastern area. So making sure we're aware of what's happening there. And then several equity forward initiatives. The city planning department is currently doing outreach, the environmental justice element. There's a lot of outreach activities in Mid-City, October and November. So any input generated from the EJ element for the new general plan, we will be integrating. And Troyes Creek Watershed Master Plan, that's another initiative that's been recently launched. And we'll be working closely with our parks planner on that, which I think Normal Heights is part of that watershed portions of it. And then also there's a trails master plan, initial existing conditions beginning. So we're just making sure, all the overlapping initiatives, everyone's talking to each other. So that's some of the other initiatives, and that concludes my presentation. I will open it up to any discussions, questions, and answers. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I think I'd like to start with the board questions. We'll move to the room questions, then we'll take Zoom participant questions in that order. And we'll mix and match as we get further down the road, because I'm sure that people will come up with other things as it come along. Yes, Jim.
Thanks for the presentation. Sounds like a good 3-year project. I can't wait. Mid-City is made up of the 4 different communities in the community planning groups. Has there been any thought or is there a possibility of potentially splitting so that a community plan doesn't cover all 4, but covers some subset? There are significant differences between the communities and their interests, and I wonder if that might be a potential outcome.
Yes, thank you for your question. This has come up quite a bit, and I think if you look at the 1965 Mid-City Plan, right, the greater North Park and Golden Hills area was part of Mid-City. And how we recognize Mid-City today of the 4 communities really was solidified during the 1984 community plan. And it brought communities together, right? State Route 15 impacted Normal Heights and City Heights and Kensington especially. And so that was the first time a proposal for the freeway capping, the Terralta Park, was included in the 1984 plan. And that boundary of the 4 communities together continued with the 1998 Mid-City Communities Plan. And we feel that, you know, there's a lot of things that connect these 4 communities, right? The commercial and transit corridors of Adams Avenue, El Cajon Boulevard, University Avenue, and some of the north-south, like Fairmont and Euclid and 54th, and then of course all the freeways. So, you know, what we're hearing from folks is that even though it's very unique and distinct neighborhoods within the 4 communities, people visit each areas, right, and parks. So we feel that it's better to kind of plan holistically in a more sub-regional approach, to really understand, you know, travel patterns and where people live and corridors approach. So thank you for your input, and that's kind of the feedback we received from the joint Miss City committee that's been meeting recently as well. But
So the answer is no, but if the community input was such that it was appropriate, that would be something that could be considered.
yeah, I mean, anything can be considered. So what would happen if we do separate and have 4 different community plans is that, first of all, we wouldn't be able to complete all 4 at the same time, right? It's just a budgetary constraints. So we'd have to choose, okay, which one to focus on first, and then go from there. And then, you know, the other communities would have to be in a queue, just citywide as well. So I think that's the cons of the individual community approach to the plan update. But if we hear enough, I mean, we will consider it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a few questions.
All right.
First, I know the SANDAG funding, has that already been granted or is that still pending?
The first SANDAG grant from the SGIP grant was granted in 2022. Well, funding became available this year. The second grant for the Housing Acceleration Program, that was announced recently. So that funding isn't available currently, probably early next year.
Okay, so it should all be in place by early next year.
Yes.
And then have the consultants been selected for the community plan?
Yes, so we are working with Ascent Environmental. They have an office in Sacramento and in San Diego. I'm very familiar with the Miss City area, and so they are the prime consultant, and we have several sub-consultant for mobility. We have Chen Ryan, who will be doing a detailed mobility existing conditions report, and we also have Imagine Creative. They work on promotional videos and focused on youth engagement. And they're very familiar with the Miss City area as well. And a couple other sub-consultants. We're also working with a historic consultant to work on a historic context statement, which will be a big component of this community's plan update. So these are folks from actually San Francisco, Page and Turnbull. We're working with them to finalize the scope right now.
Okay, and then last question for the CEQA analysis, are you intending to rely on Blueprint FD or what are you anticipating for CEQA?
CEQA, so yes, a addendum to the Blueprint program EIR is the plan. But beyond that, we'll wait for the Blueprint initiative to move forward and get adopted.
Yeah, that was your question. So yeah, you're expecting Blueprint will be fully certified. I guess if you're going to hear from it.
I think the plan is hearing by around summer. of next year. So yes, I believe blueprint and university community plan update, and then amendment to the Uptown plan, Hillcrest focus plan amendment are all going together by summer is my understanding.
Okay, and then, oh, sorry, one more question. For the purple line, with that alignment study, are you going to kind of incorporate it as though it's potentially approved, or how will the purple line alignment study be handled in the community plan update? Since that's also a pending study.
Yeah, so blueprint or the purple line alignment study is a 2-year initiative that's led by Sandag. So that study will be completed, I think, before Mid-City Communities Plan update. So yeah, we'll incorporate it. We always incorporate the regional plan, transit proposal, mobility proposal into community plans. And if we have even more refined station location, I mean, that would be great. And a huge potential investment for Mid-City. But again, that's a 20-year process. If it moves forward, right, and there's funding available, ballot initiative passes, but and to actually completion based on other West Coast light rail or grade separated systems. So
No, understood on implementation. Yeah, I was just curious if it would be part of kind of the mobility structure. So thank you.
yeah.
That one question, is the existing conditions that's coming, right? It's not available yet.
It is not available yet. We haven't even launched the plan update yet. So
I thought maybe it was tucked in.
I'll throw you a couple of softball ones. You mentioned a point system for the Parks Master Plan. I've heard this before. Is that rubric available online or published somewhere?
yes, it is Parks Master Plan, and it's the actual point methodology is in the appendices of the Parks Master Plan. So it's available online.
Thank you. Second question is, I know that the new diff fee structure is going to go into citywide buckets of library, fire, parks, and streets. How do those 4 elements line up with the general plan, climate action plan, parks master plan, and climate resilience buckets that you had talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm. So the Build Better SD is a citywide diff fee. And so we're moving away from community level development impact fee. And we used to have facilities financing plan for each community that would allocate, but now it would just go into a citywide kind of pot for any development. But there will be priorities, obviously, for areas growing rapidly, but also communities of concern. And it will be integrated through the CIP prioritization process that the city planning department has been working with, capital engineering, public work folks. So I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, that's going to be implementation. And as part of the plan update, we'll assess infrastructure demand and some of the new opportunities for, potential parks, pocket parks, plazas, trails, and maybe there's other underutilized lots that we can think about expanding. So those are part of the plan update process to be able to identify future park needs. Also, there's a library master plan, which I forgot to mention, but that's out now. And some of the proposals are favorable to Mid-City, a new library at Kensington, Talmadge area, I believe, and then a brand new library in eastern area, Oak Park. So the libraries are, development will integrate whatever the recommendation of the park library master plan for that. Fire station, yeah, we'll assess the demand for fire station, but I mean, there's a new fire station built, I think under construction or pre-construction, Fairmount Avenue Fire Station. I think that fills the main gap in Mid-City. And then police, yeah, which is already has a pretty solid police presence in City Heights, with the station there. But yeah, those are all the things, you know, we'll look into as part of the plan update.
It sounds like the Build Better SD is incorporated into the general plan.
Yeah, yeah. It's the public facilities safety services chapter. Yeah, so they amended that.
Okay. Yes.
Alex, I only have one question. On the slide that you showed the median income on there, it showed Kensington somewhere in the 70,000 for the median income. That didn't seem right to me, so I looked it up in census.gov. It's around 167,000 for the median in for Kensington. Does the slide bear any weight on anything you're doing, or is it just to kind of show us with an idea?
Yeah, it doesn't weigh anything. That's the data we have from the Sandag data surfer. I mean, it's publicly available 2021 estimates. So is this the census data much more
Census
recent?
shows 17 to 2021 and 2021 dollars.
Okay,
You
for
may
Kensington
wanna-
area. Yeah,
Is the data for median income for a grant proposal that we submitted to Caltrans.
yeah.
And the Kensington was over 100, and so is part of Normal Heights.
We get a little touchy about Kensington. They're all fancy and to the east, and they got the nice stuff.
Yeah. But we have pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Yes.
And I think, you know, the data quality is really important, and looking at different data sources as well, for some of that. So, I mean, we'll be looking into that. But yeah, thanks for the heads up on that. It's just using the census tract level data. It doesn't perfectly match up with all the community planning areas. So there's some overlap there, but we do use some census data for, you know, other things. So yeah, thanks for the heads up. It did seem a little low overall.
Yes, Dan.
You mentioned historic component was going to be analyzed by a firm in San Francisco. Is that right?
What's that? All I heard was San Francisco.
For the historic data and the assessment of the the as-is assessment, is the consultancy group out of San Francisco that's conducting them?
Their base, yeah, but they worked on the college area, bungalow court study, and so they're actually pretty familiar with the Mid-City area and some of the historic component. Yeah, so we're expanding on that aspect.
I was wondering about that. Well, for example, when did San Francisco call San Diego to it seems
yeah. Well, I mean, they work all over California, and so they've worked on other community plan updates within Canto and Southeastern as well, I believe. So they're pretty familiar with the surrounding areas. And yeah, I heard San Francisco was the recipient of our streetcars when we got rid of our electric streetcars back in the 30s. That's what they're telling me. So that's something.
The basic math of it.
Yeah.
How Brandon Presley have to do in these big counties in order to make this competitive? Like 90% of the vote? Like, what does he have to do?
This is like a Biden in Philadelphia. You need it around 80% of the vote, something like that. Yeah, my state that has not voted Democrat for governor in 20 plus years. I'm not trying to tell people at home, stay up. The Democrat might win here. The Democrat is, not likely to win in Mississippi.
You need to mute yourself if possible. We're getting some background noise.
And a Democratic stronghold that even, let's just go back to the presidential race. You see all this red. Go back to the presidential race. Joe Biden did not have a good night.
There we go. Okay.
Session. Thank you.
All right. I have a question. The slide you showed the timeline. It showed that the community engagement work being done and that it would just be translated into English and Spanish. City Heights has a lot more languages spoken. A lot of communities that wouldn't speak either of those languages. Is there any effort being done to not only make sure stuff is available in the languages people speak in these neighborhoods, but also specific outreach to those folks who generally are underrepresented? And particularly, we've already talked about the income inequality, but the kind of representation inequality among these neighborhoods is huge. So I wonder what's being done about that.
Yeah, so we'll be partnering with local community-based organizations to work to focus on gathering input from underrepresented groups, also in different languages. So that will be a component of this plan update. We'll also offer translation service for anyone requesting. So that will be available for any, public meetings, and then translating materials to Spanish, at least, as we launch. So yeah, there's a couple different components to that, but yeah, the CBO partnership will be a big component, to have meetings for those underrepresented groups.
So people will be able to request translation services for public meetings, and how will they know they can do that?
So it will be in the part of the flyer that we'll have for any in-person events, and also for virtual events. We'll have real-time translation, typically Spanish, and you can just change the channel and hear everything in Spanish in real time.
Yeah, I could chime in here. Our partners who do the translation and interpretation have the capacity to translate into other languages like Vietnamese, but it is going to be a bit of an issue, knowing ahead of time if those folks will be in the room, and the translator for those languages will also be in the room. So we're going to have to get back to the drawing board on that one and make sure that we do the outreach ahead of time, and either have residents register ahead of time so we know they'll be there, or some other tactics so that we have it covered. But yeah, we're working on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yes. So you mentioned stakeholders. So I do see there's a lot of community outreach, but who else is interested? And I mean, exactly who do you mean by stakeholders?
Number one, well, number one, the residents living in Mid-City, community-based organizations, and people working in Mid-City as well. So that's some of the stakeholders, I guess. We call them community members, planning groups and planning group members, and any other, maintenance assessment districts, business improvement associations. I mean, there are several, right, in Mid-City, the folks, that are trying to improve their neighborhoods, and the youth, the young people that live in Mid-City, families with children, so and also schools and other public facilities. So that's kind of how we envision, community members, I guess, stakeholders, businesses, obviously, all the small businesses, and medium businesses,
Pleasure there, Alex. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Arthur.
Okay, please just step up, and then he'll be able to hear and see you a little better. Yeah, thank you.
So there's no business interests, no lobbyists, no associations as such that are stakeholders. And why I ask, because in general, I go to the meetings as a resident, and I don't feel like I'm a stakeholder. There's meetings that I'm not invited to as you say, a stakeholder. But I don't feel like you know what I'm saying?
Kind of, I mean, so all our meetings and events will be open to anyone that can make it and attend. Obviously, we'll have, smaller meetings with, philanthropies, Philanthropy Foundation, for example, who's been, really instrumental in revitalizing City Heights, and other nonprofits and business improvement, districts, is very active. So obviously we'll be meeting with them and other stakeholders. Yeah. So yeah, there will be a lot of opportunities for engagement, and, we're committed to data informed process, and that's community centered. So hopefully, and trying to be transparent about everything. So, I mean, that's the process we're committed to.
Sure. If I might elaborate on your question, what about those who have investments? And we talk a lot about maybe the Adams Avenue Business Association, local business owners, but there are people who have significant investment in the community that we sort of consider outsiders, like Lennar just finished building a large apartment complex on Park Avenue. They're a stakeholder in the community. How well they manage and maintain their building is important to us. So is there any outreach to builders associations and commercial property owners, those kind of councils?
Yeah, so like Chamber of Commerce, right? It's a stakeholder, I guess. Building Improvement Association, right? BIA, that's another potential stakeholders, right? Folks that build housing or build businesses, or yes, they are definitely stakeholders as well, as much as the Sierra Club and other environmental organizations, environmental, health coalition, and all the folks, involved in the environmental justice movement. So yeah, it's going to be very diverse viewpoints, and so let's generate ideas and see, where the priorities are in the community.
So that was just the setup. So does a stakeholder such as Lennar have more influence than a community group such as Normal Heights Planning Group?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say that for the plan update, but I mean, that's everyone's entitled to their opinion, obviously, and we'll reach out and get a broad representation and participation. So, I mean, all I can do is give you an example of the Mira Mesa process, where we did reach out and got broad participation and representation, and that's how we develop the community vision and principles and some of the main priorities and goals. So but yes, there will be some influential stakeholders, yes, that will try to lobby. It's just all part of the process.
I believe all the meetings that are associated with this effort are public and announced.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone has an opinion.
Yeah. I think it would behoove our group to just talk to some of the other planning groups that have finished their work, and our own team that's on the planning group update. We'll probably be able to take that feedback. Let me take some questions from those in the Zoom session. Make sure you're not ignoring. You go ahead and raise your hand or wave at the camera or unmute and start talking. Gary.
You talked about the infrastructure shortfalls, which is something that has been thematic through the 50 years of planning that those other plans before us have done. I wonder how you're going to pay for that, and if it isn't time that we actually find the resources to do that instead of just talking about it. We've never found enough money to make any impact. We have development impact fees, which we're now trying to figure out how to make work. But that isn't going to take care of all of this problem. Legally, I don't even think it can. It's going to take something like a general obligation bond or some serious approach to finding the resources to do this. We've been watching this for decades. Are you going to get into looking for solutions like that so that we can actually implement some of these park and recreation needs for the stakeholders who are 5 years old and not organized enough to do it themselves?
Yeah, that's the implementation question. Thanks for the question, Gary. But I think, right, that was the big concern in the 1998 plan. So the community was significantly downzoned because of the concern with school overcrowding and lack of adequate infrastructure. And so as part of our existing conditions analysis, we're looking at, has there been significant investment into the Mid-City communities? And we're finding, especially for schools, I mean, there are over $614 million that's been invested in the past 15 years, right? That's from the ballot initiative measure, I want to say M, but so we're looking at those things to see, you know, what kind of community investment has been occurring since the last plan update. And, you know, new parks being developed as well. So there are pockets all around Mid-City, and let's take a recreation center, right? Two of the most kind of state-of-the-art, you know, YMCA in City Heights, right on Fairmont, on Talmadge, right? That opened recently, and also the Ray Kroc Center, all the way down in Eastern area, has an ice skating rink. I mean, there's been all this tremendous community investment. At least that's what we're kind of in preliminary findings. So we'll share that information, but also knowing that, you know, we never have enough expenditure to improve all the infrastructure. So, you know, we'll explore it, but there's always trade-offs. And I think part of the plan update is really honing in on, well, what are those big things that the community can rally behind, right, to improve their neighborhoods. So
sounds like it's our job to get that community involved and excited about this plan and get their input and ideas. Anybody else on the Zoom call?
Oh, I know earlier there was one in the chat.
In the chat.
Yeah.
Whoever it is in the chat, go ahead and unmute. Are there any other questions in the room? Then at this point, I'll let you know that this the session is recorded. We'll be posting it online for other people to view and refresh their memory if they were here, or learn about it new if they weren't. Thank you for your presentation. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
thank you for having me. All right, take care.
Thanks, everyone.
So they're gonna take credit for the YMCA?
Yeah.
What?
The YMCA is a city amenity?
Yeah.
You have to pay money to belong.
To reviewing the operating procedures, which were formerly known as terms and conditions for the recertification by the city. There's some language in there that we need to revise. And since I need to pull up that document, why don't we take like a 3-minute recess and get a break, get a drink of water, bio break, whatever you need. And I'll get that document ready.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Looking at. How far are we from?
They're doing the street sweeping, they're sort of getting away from the residents. You know what I mean? Business.
Yeah, so.
It's not like we're doing it for.
So,
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, my God.
weekly, monthly.
You know what I mean? Like, I know six.
So my question is might be going to be swept.
Yeah.
But no, it's a. Yeah, so no, thank you.
I love it.
The team that handle this. I sort of ready.
Well, I was wait. Thursday, every other month.
It might be good to.
If it's not raining. And it's so many.
Oh, I know.
When I first got here, we got to put some charter things. I think we're going around there
And we might.
so
I think. I mean.
and so
You know what I mean? This research is long, they're older than where we are. Technology. You know,
probably learn. They're unaware of it. Not gonna solve it. Well, the only thing I think there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking of because I'm putting in apartments in the streets. So you know, you can find a lot on the streets.
I love it. My favorite.
Instead of city.
The hardest. I went yeah. I feel.
Oh, I know, yeah. I mean, well, now we're later.
Like a rough out. You know.
That was the only.
I mean, city council. Which means that that's.
Yeah, I did that also.
Yeah.
Everything.
No, so. I work for
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sure.
We're back to order. Let me make sure it's sharing the screen here. Our next agenda item is reviewing the operating procedures formerly known as terms and conditions for the recertification by the city. So this is part of the recommendations of the grand jury review of city planning groups in general, made several comments and suggestions to the city, which the city undertook. Mainly, they regarded being more representative of the community in its makeup and doing some better record keeping. So not too far out of line with our own goals. But in the paperwork that we're going to be signing off on, there are some language that was in conflict with itself or vague. So the first one of two suggested changes is in the introduction and background section. It said that the CPG acknowledges that the city can revoke recognition of any CPG if the city in its sole discretion determines these standards are not being met. It does not specify who in the city, so it could be any employee at all. So we are proposing the text that the CPG acknowledges that the city council can revoke the recognition of any CPG if the city council in its sole discretion determines these standards are not being met. So this moves from anyone to the city council, which if you read further down in the same document, the city council is specified as the sole decider upon recommendation from the mayor's office. So we're not changing the workflow that would go from the mayor's office and suggesting to the city council, as would be the norm. But we are saying we're making their own document agree with the process of having the city council be the determination.
Are you asking for us to agree with that change? And if so, I make the motion that we do.
Do we have a second? Second is.
Can I make a suggestion?
Vote, don't forget to vote.
Let's open for discussion.
Perhaps you should put with majority vote or even a 2/3 vote. It's just for parliamentary form by majority vote of the city council.
Do you agree?
Nope.
I don't think it's necessary. They have to act by majority vote.
They have to act by majority vote. Okay, so we will maintain as written. Bring it to a vote. That looks unanimous. All right. Seconds. Great. Second section is regarding membership. There was a mismatch between what was in the document and what was in the survey of materials asked for us to collect and in the city council policy. So we've made an effort here to align that. So it currently reads in the membership section, the CPG will ensure that voting members of recognized CPGs to the greatest extent possible represent the entire community and community interests, including homeowners, renters, individuals with and without school-age children, and diverse age groups. Nowhere in our demographics request was there anything about the makeup of homes or if there was anybody with school-age children. So that was not in the online application. It is also not mentioned in the city council policy 624, which states the demographic data gathered should include age range, nature of relationship to the community, homeowner, renter, or business owner, duration of relationship to the community, ethnicity, race, gender, professional background or expertise, and length of service or involvement with the CPG. The city may assist with outreach efforts to broaden the scope and diversity and inclusion in participation on CPGs. The sentence does not include race, which is on the online application. And the sentence does not include household income, which is also on the online application, but not mentioned in 624. Therefore, the proposed text is the CPG will ensure that voting members of recognized CPGs to the greatest extent possible represent the entire community and community interests, including homeowners, renters, and diverse race, ethnicity, and age groups. Do we have a motion to accept or reject?
I like it. I'll move.
Jim moves.
Is
Greg
it,
second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now,
but in discussion, is there anybody who feels like they're not included with that description? Are we talking, oh gee, gender preference? We're not speaking male, female.
gender identity was brought up as, with this process. And it was stated that the city did not have that sort of data on hand in order to map the community to the community group.
Right.
So using only the data surfer, data for, census data, they decided to leave it out.
Okay, is it?
Molly,
No, it's socioeconomic status.
I was gonna ask the same thing. I mean, we're talking about homeless people that live in better community and they should represent the community.
they are asking for income so we could include SES.
So does that mean that a potential member needs to divulge all that information before they become a member?
Yeah.
Yes.
It would be going forward, yeah.
It's been very.
Which is kind of controversy about income.
Well, I think a better way might be that in our own bylaws, we specifically state that we do not discriminate on the basis of income.
We're not discriminating, we're asking for, on the one hand, they're asking for information. I don't know.
I would say that keep in mind that this document is used for certification with the city as part of the contractual agreement to provide us with indemnification. If we decide to go above and beyond their minimum, we certainly can.
I'm okay with it as a change proposed. My motion is to accept it.
Molly, any idea? Denise,
I mean, I'm not on the board, so I.
would you like to be? It was a trap.
I think it's something to consider. I think there maybe are ways you could put brackets around a couple of like different tiers of income, so it's less divulging exact numbers, but.
So you were suggesting that this proposed text is to request a modification of the city. Our bylaws could, if we wanted, include something about variety of income,
Gender equity.
if they accepted it in our bylaw. So maybe we don't do it here, but we could do it when we update our bylaw, and then you'll join.
Right, then we'll take it to a vote with the proposed text standing. That looks unanimous again.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Was there a section for this? I think it was section 2.
Oh, advice, you know, you're right. There's a section 2.2 advisory CPG review. The CPG may upon city request make recommendations or participate in additional efforts such as identifying CIP infrastructure or additional city matters. And it seems to imply that we could only submit opinions when asked by the city. So the proposed text is the CPG may on their own accord or upon city request make recommendations or participate in additional efforts such as identifying CIP infrastructure needs or additional city matters. So we can take a proactive stance. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion. Seconds, and,
By way of discussion,
discussion.
before we vote. Historically, the planning department didn't want us to opine about anything outside our area. The Normal Heights area is bounded by the freeways and Algonquin Boulevard. And if there were changes proposed on the other, across the street on Algonquin Boulevard, or the other side of the freeway, or the slopes of Mission Valley, they didn't want us to get involved. We refused. This statement doesn't speak to limit us. So I'm very much for it. Right?
Yeah.
We can speak up about citywide issues.
I believe that would be supporting democracy.
Oh, Jim, question, did they try to do that at the, like, the overall PPG level, like?
Yeah,
That's like a help.
that was years ago. We refused and they didn't argue, so we did it in, what is it where you ask permission or you ask forgiveness?
Yeah.
We didn't ask forgiveness.
Okay, we'll take this to a vote. Looks like unanimous again. Good catch, by the way, thank you. Okay, let's stop the share here. And next item. Report city, county, and state government agency representatives, Lydia Marshall, City Parks and Rec. Presentation on Ward Canyon GDP development. Is Lydia on the line?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe next time. We have some open.
Let me speak to that first, if I may.
Yes.
Ward Canyon Park, that's 40th and Adams, has a general development plan for development. We've approved it, it's several years old. The next step is to get rid of the mock building. But a further step was to take what's now blacktop at the southeast section, which has been used as a staging area for construction, slated to the dog park and a community garden. It was reported at the last community, what do they call that group? Community recreation group? Yeah. Advisory? Yeah, they took advisory out of it for some reason. Anyway, it's reported to us that Caltrans is reneging on the plan and wants to reduce the space available for the park, which may impact the dog park. This was kind of presented casually at the last meeting, and I thought it was a big deal. So there will be a report at the November 28th recreation meeting over at the Rec Center, Adams Rec Center. And I had hoped that somebody would tell us what's being proposed, and if there's any way to tell the dog park people, for instance, that there may be changes to that. So I think it's worthy of community input. And that's why I asked for it on the agenda, and I'm sorry that the representative couldn't come.
We'll publicize the November 28th.
Yeah.
This is the reason why my wife and I joined this group is specifically for the Lord Canyon and get that. It really be one of these and also. And we found that with the innocence of the done better than so I will try to engage all of the people in Lord Canyon and try to get them in the community.
They may have a wonderful plan, but if
It's
they're
been
not
around,
asking,
you said a couple of years, that plan's been around for a couple of decades. So.
Yeah.
Next up is E9. Ben.
Yeah. Figure out where to stand, so everyone can see and hear me.
Closer to the hour.
Ben Mendoza, I'm with the Council District 9 office. My first update is this is gonna be my last meeting with you all for the foreseeable future. I'm really
tired of you.
I'm still in the District 9 office, not moving to Hawaii. just, my responsibilities have shifted, so I'm gonna be taking on some more communications responsibilities. But, and we have my wonderful colleague, Sarah, who is gonna be taking over for me.
So I'll actually be representing Fancy Kensington, Normal Heights, El Cerrito, and Rolando Village. I just started with the city almost 2 months ago, and I have a lot of background doing community work at local nonprofit organizations. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be here, and thank you, Ben, for all the amazing work you've done here as well.
And yeah, I'll also be with the office, so if you need anything, please feel free to let me know. There's still some constitutional caseworks that I'm still wrapping up. Some of them just won't let me go. But mostly, I think Sarah's gonna be taking it, any Normal Heights related cases from here on out.
Sure, I just like to say, I can also leave some business cards like right here at the table. So you should, anyone can contact me directly for city related.
Yes, and because I'll be more on the communication side, happy to help amplify any messages you all are trying to get out. Whether that is, I know last month we talked about a survey of the community. If you need us to help push that out, please feel free to let me know. We also have our bi-weekly newsletter that I'm so happy to put things in to get the word out about anything. So I'm still here to support. To go off the Ward Canyon Park updates, I had reached out to Parks and Rec about the plan for the MAC building. I'm just following up on Scott's comment that it's been quite a few decades that it's supposed to have been demolished. So Parks and Rec let me know that engineering and capital projects is working on the demolition of the building, and the plan is for that to get demoed. They're going to secure a proposal for an RFP by the end of this year, this calendar year, for a contractor to do the work this upcoming spring, with it scheduled to be completed fall of next year. So that's best case scenario. I can hear Scott in my mind now. That's just best case scenario. If nothing goes wrong, obviously that's not always the case. But I'm hopeful that within hopefully the next year that building will be gone. So just wanted to give that update to you all, and
I'd like to comment on that. Can you make sure that the ficus at the corner is retained?
That's gonna cover 6 months away.
Absolutely.
I have to wrote that out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not that.
I'd hate to have to make it tree a historic designated tree like we did in Kansas.
Yes, I'll make a note of that. Thank you. A couple other things. There's a vacant building on Swift and El Cajon Boulevard, bright yellow along El Cajon Boulevard. You can't miss it. There's been a lot of tagging, illegal dumping. I have no idea. Yeah. So it's been sitting empty for a while now, constantly getting tagged. The tires got moved that were illegally dumped there. The graffiti is not covered. And then I also found out what's happening with the building. It's slated to be turned into a 5-story, 27-unit apartment building with affordable units. I'm happy to share the project number with you all. The holdup is the property owner still needs to resubmit something to DSD before that project can move forward. So the permits are not held up at the city.
Did you say you had a PRJ?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Joe. I've been a homeowner here for 3 years. This is my first meeting. I'm excited to be here. What not really the mountain, but affordable meaning when it comes to projects here? Like, is there an actual definition?
There is. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can get back to you on it. Yeah, go for it.
So everyone throws around the word affordable, right? But when we're talking about capital A affordable housing, there's different tiers and it's all based on what's called area median income or AMI. Basically, there's a countywide number and it's set for a family of four of what the average income is for the whole county. Last time I checked, it's changed every year. I think countywide is about $80,000. And then when you do affordable housing, it's a percentage of that 80,000 AMI. So there's different categories. There's extremely low, which is, this is my percentages is where I might not be exact. So don't quote me on these, but I think it's from 0 of AMI to about like 10 or 20%. Then there's very low income, which is 20 to 30 or 20 to 40. So my brackets might be a little off, but you can kind of see there's different kind of buckets of like very low income is 30 to 50%. And then moderate is 80 to 120. So that's kind of like, it's a lot of percentages and numbers, but basically it'd be a percentage of that $80,000 or whatever it is. They update it annually. So in order to get affordable housing benefits for a project, they have to say, when they submit their application, like, we will provide X number of low, and it'll be capital, low or very low income housing. So that's how it's kind of defined.
This is like the part that I like is the housing issue, right? So there's a huge difference, like we brought up Profit Street to corridor compared to Normal Heights and anything on this north end of the street, right? And it was pointed out even there's a huge difference between $150,000 income and $46,000, right? So how diverse our county is, right? That makes no sense for the individual sectors to account for that. Because you're still not really getting the low income population, right? You're still getting the middle class, realistically.
Yeah.
When you look at the county as a whole.
Yeah, no, it's true. And like part of it too, with the like capital A affordable housing, like you have to submit like proof of income and everything. So it is like, I think some people are like, well, anyone can live there. And it's like, no, it's really hard to get those units because we don't have enough of them.
And I think the scary part, when I look at, I watched the north part across the highway in the last 3 years completely evolve, right? When it comes to apartment buildings, but we know there's an issue with them and with what we're doing with parking, what we're doing in regards to like moving people from point A to point B across the city, right? We don't have the support for all the population that's coming in. So how do we, in our community, prevent that from like just taking us over to where we're also in the same issue?
That's a very good question. It's also a very complex question.
I know it's a whole web of politics, funding, timelines, policies, and things might take
market
20
conditions.
years.
So I didn't have an answer.
I feel like that's kind of part of what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
We nibble at the edges.
Because I see like that'll be the first building that happens, and then it'll be triggered, right? On the Home Boulevard or the corridor and City Heights completely changing.
I will say this is that community involvement can shape that, and it may not be a change in height or even change in the mix of units. Hopefully it would be, but it could be there's more public art, or there is an additional bus line added, or there's a park put in. So community input does sway and move the needle, but go forth and bring all your friends.
I'm happy to also connect after this too. Paul had invited Council President here. He couldn't make a meeting tonight, but we're trying to get him to an upcoming meeting. Also, he loves talking. So definitely trying to get him.
December?
Maybe.
Dressed as Santa?
I'm trying to get him to go to the bike ride that's happening in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get him there, not in a fan suit, but okay, so yeah, there is a PRJ for the project number. 1077714.
3 sevens in the middle.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last update, thank you, Alan, for sending over the unfunded needs list that you put together. We sent that over to transportation. And then I also provided it to our policy lead. And we're gonna incorporate it into our January budget memo. Our policy lead, we can chat further, but asked if you could do a priority of the list we created. Just because I think there's a lot more that we can. There's only so many we can include. Yeah. Can get back to you on that, but yeah, that list was super helpful.
Thank you, Ben, for coming to our meeting.
Yeah, and so I'm a resident of Corridor, so I'm not too far away and still want to engage with you.
You're welcome.
Presentation you've had, you've been to those, yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome back anytime, but you will have to turn the key to the executive washroom.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor's office is Lucero Maganda. I don't think she's here. We will not have anybody from the county supervisor office until after the election. And then Senator Atkins, Amy McNeil. I do not see her online. Nor Chris, so we'll move on to chair report, community planners committee. So the last CPC meeting approved the letter to be sent to the city regarding the planning department on an issue that occurred many months ago. So I think it's a matter of some people wanting an apology. An ad hoc committee was formed to review and submit opinions on a grand jury report on DIFs, developer impact fees, and also collect evidence for a new grand jury investigation into the practices of the planning department, ESD, and code enforcement. And this has mainly to do with inconsistency in the application of their awards. Those meetings are noticed online, and you can find links to the meeting on the CPG website. Board training update. I think we're finished. I believe Scott, we just need to hear back from Scott on that.
Well, we may have a new member.
Oh, there we go. Scott's not here for the Adams Avenue Business Association. Gary Weber is he still online? I think he's left, so we'll skip over the El Cajon, and then Normal Heights Community Association and Normal Heights Urban Parks. Greg, you have the Community Association. Is there a new event?
There is time up here.
Kelly, go ahead.
We were talking about the bike ride on December 9th, so that will be the actual holiday. Holiday decorating contest. So there's a community bike ride at 12:09. We're going to have, this is the annual event, which is the holiday home decorating contest. You can enter your home to the contest between November 20th and December 4th. There will be online voting between December 9th and December 16th. Community bike rides on December 9th. We were just talking about the time that we're getting started. We can meet at 4 a.m. Start rolling around at 4:30 if we can. We'll have the, I think the same group that we had last year that'll come decorate bikes for weeks. There will also be the option to do the trolleys that we rent and the community potluck, which will be held here on the 12th. And then the winners will be announced on the 16th. So there's the bike ride for it, and then there's also the night with the trolleys. Trolleys are really fun, especially if you have kids or if you're intoxicated and you don't want to ride a bike around town. The bike ride last year was really good, the year before as well. So hopefully we can just keep growing that population. It tends to be a slow ride. I'll plan out the route this month. And we're gonna work with Bike SD, and they're gonna help us to kind of be.
Keep us together.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Christmas carols, you know. And yeah, so just if you aren't in the trial, I would just say, go on the Normal Heights Association website and RSVP. Probably that should be online at the end of next week. You always also need volunteers, so if you want to
Yeah.
volunteer for anything, we have that form live on the website right now.
What is the address for the Normal Heights Association?
Normal Heights.ca, I'm pretty sure. Or, you know, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, normalheights.ca.
.ca, okay. I'll work on getting a link on the CPG website as well, because I had some other people asking me about it. Okay.
Work that.
Okay, next up, Adams Community Recreation Advisory Group. Nancy?
We still need a lot of more people in our meetings there, but anytime soon. I don't think, do we have 2 people on Zoom or something? 2 people on Zoom?
Yeah, we have 2.
Is that Esther? Is she in contact with you? Or is she having this? Esther, you're online. Were you interested in the community recreation group? Might be putting a little one down right now. Okay.
They mentioned that they got the netting up for the baseball, so the balls don't go over into these people's. Yards.
Oh, good.
They might be keeping them so they won't be getting in some trouble over there anymore. At the rec center. And they talked about the graffiti down at the park and the steps, the steps like that. And then about some of the homeless issues in those places, but they cleaned it all up over it. Okay.
The group of people will be able to today, this week, you're going to be all entertaining that.
Yeah. Then the meeting in summer. 6 o'clock p.m. And they talked about the butterfly. They should have something to think about January. Huh?
Yes, January reveal.
They're supposed to have a celebration or something.
Oh, no. We're hoping.
That'll be nice.
Recreation director who's hasn't. And there's a new chair of that committee. His name's Jim.
He's a head person.
Good, okay, Normal Heights for Smart Growth, I'll change my hat and just say that, we had a meeting with Fernando Garcia to bring him up to speed for, on the ideas of smart growth. From that conversation, we've decided to create a series of position papers that are, basically explain the ideals of smart growth for any candidate that wants to use them in their party platform. So, we'll be publishing that on our website. Standing committees. Mid-City Communities Plan Update Committee.
Well, yeah, I'll just speak real quickly about that. You all heard the big Mac view of it, the long process. Thank you as the committee and as the community just to hear, give you guys feedback or get your responses. So right now we're looking for some ideas on the vision statements that will tie it together, all the different 4 individual communities. So if you have ideas on that, please email me if you're on the board, and if not, just Paul, I don't send it over to me, but we're talking now and I can make sure to take it. Our next meeting is actually tomorrow, so I think some of that process will get started. If you want to get ahead of it,
Okay. Utility undergrounding.
Yes, we had some movement in October. There was a hearing to kind of recertify and restart the process for block 3DD. If you're new around here, that's kind of north of Adams in the northeast area. And that is now, that portion of Normal Heights was already designed and slightly under construction. They've rescinded everything, put it on pause. Now we're back on. So, they said it will take about 8 to 12 months to start construction. They have to kind of dust off everything that's a few years old now, make sure that they don't have to update engineering documents, but construction will start in that block 3DD. I can get anyone a map who's interested in 8 to 12 months. So we're finally moving.
That was 3DD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the north, it's all north of Adams and it's kind of the northeast part of the neighborhood.
Jim says. And yours too, right?
No, I'm in 3BB and I dug up my map that
Oh, yeah.
they gave us in 2017 that was supposed to be done in 2018 and 19. It's 2023. Somehow it's got lost.
Yeah.
COVID is part of it. Map for 3BB.
Yeah, and 3BB, last time I looked,
It's 20 years away.
well, it said it's second, so hopefully, I hope not this one.
It was second in 1987.
Fair enough, fair enough, but, definitely keeping an eye, I wanna make sure that, just because we got one going, I'm hoping that means some forward momentum, but point well taken, I know this has been a long and painful process, so hopefully more news soon.
Yep.
There was several years ago, along with the project, the hope that the undergrounding of the utilities, especially electrical, that there could be additional street lighting. And my understanding, just for your information, and just to remind you, is that the plans that were developed would allow for the installation of additional lighting, in that there would be wires and stub out for additional lighting as part of the project, even though there wasn't what's required of a maintenance assessment district to pay for the installation and maintenance. That's still something that could happen.
Yeah, I think that's still definitely kind of part of what was on the table, but that's a really good point, Jim. I did notice, because it was 3 blocks that were brought at this hearing, and the Normal Heights one was like triple the price of the others. So that, I'm hoping that's it, but that's a good point that we should dig into that before.
Because
Yeah,
if we ever get a maintenance assessment district efficient, that would be charging all the homeowners to pay for the installation and maintenance. If the wiring is already there, that cuts down the cost quite a bit. So
Yes.
we really would like the project to include the potential for additional lighting.
yeah,
Make sense?
no, that makes sense. And Ben or Sarah, now I'll ask you, because Ben, thank you. You've always been great about emails and questions. I'll shoot you an email and maybe if we can track down the budget, because I did notice it was like $31 million, so fingers crossed it's included, but we should definitely verify.
Million here, million there. But that money was already allocated and put back
Yes,
20 years ago.
yeah,
So where did the money go? That would be the interest alone on it that paid for the street lights.
yeah. That's a fair point, and I have no idea, but
SDDSU staple.
All right. Dan, you have anything for us there?
There was nothing, if you wondered this information, I share with you, here's on the city planning department website. The historical reviews. We have to, me, I have to look at the addresses and figure out, where a lot of things are, with it doesn't give the neighborhood. Even though Alcone Boulevard, for example, would need to include the area beyond.
How long is the list? We got 100? 200?
Well, they come out with, installments of it, the last installment. That was on, November 1st, and this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you forward me the link to that page so I can include it in the minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we have anything on Parks and Trail Development? I don't think we have anybody assigned to that. Nominating Committee.
Well, I chair the nominating committee. I didn't talk to you, Paul, sorry. But I was reviewing the applications and there's a strange woman named Samantha who attended several meetings and claimed to be a potential board member. So I'd like to present to you Samantha and remind you that we are at the minimum 12. We can have up to 15. And it's really behooves us to add, and we can add members at any point. The decision, two decisions would be whether to accept her. Yeah, sure, it's going to happen unless you do something really strange. And then to decide whether she's going to take a 1 year or a 2 year term, because we all serve 1 or 2 year terms. So that's what we present.
You should definitely join because so that keeps it for that reason.
So the nominating committee is presenting Samantha.
My current is up there.
Oh, this guy. Well, I would say, would it be better to be in, would it be better for her to be on one of the short-term seats or one of the long-term seats?
I haven't looked at the list of the mix right now. You guys know?
I'll look it up. Not a problem.
But if you have no problem, we'd sign you up for 4 years. I propose putting her in for 2, and then if there's a problem on the way to it, we could always change it. But maybe we should have her, a little speech here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Sammy Burrows, or Samantha is my full name. And I lived in Normal Heights since spring of 2019. I live with my husband and our Jack Russell air mix. And I live above Blind Lady Ale House in that building on 34th. And we lived there the entire time. I also work remotely from home for a baby product company and in their production sourcing department, that I have over 10 years of marketing experience. I think that I could bring a lot of value in terms of like digital marketing, website development, all those kind of things. I also work at Blind Lady House. So I'm actually gonna be there Saturday working. So I'm very involved in the community. I'm a big cyclist and go to a lot of the community rides that start in Normal Heights, along North Park. So I was looking forward to just getting more involved in Normal Heights. The board to represent the people that I think live here, and I think that by adding more diversity in terms of renters, age, gender, race, I think it would help have more representation of the people that live here and I walk around the street.
Excellent.
I don't know, we have too many bikers.
I'll represent non-bikers.
Oh, okay.
Well, do we have a motion to? I'll second. And second, okay. On discussion, no, take it to a vote. Welcome aboard. There's a chair right here. You are officially, you are officially a voting member as of this moment, so. Which I don't think it will, but we'll have an opportunity to. We'll go through the motion to adjourn. There you go. Let's see, Caltrans grant submission. we did not get the Caltrans grant. But we are still proceeding with the community garden because we have the 50% funding from the Selby team is still committed. And they would like to do some maybe matching fund fundraisers. In the meantime, we've socialized the idea with the neighborhood over there. Everybody either said good idea or I just rent here. So not seeing any resistance from the neighborhood. Next step is to submit a permit and get a permit waiver. So I'll be hitting you up for some freebies.
In this location that's across the street from Cherokee Market and Cherokee Street.
Yes, just north of the church, south of Mountain View where it merges with Cherokee. And it's for the one contiguous plot. There is another plot to the south that's covered in gravel, and we won't be going on to that one. Now, if it's a huge success and it migrates and expands, great. That's also city. DEI program, not much update there, other than that we're submitting the paperwork for the renewal and it exists.
You remind me what DEI means?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks.
3 replacements.
Yeah, I've kind of stalled out a little bit.
Well, kind of.
We haven't gotten an update from the people who believe it. So we'll by next meeting.
Okay, I did try to get Fernando to commit to giving us at least half of those trees that are coming from the USDA. So maybe I'll put that in his platform, trees for everyone. And I would expect you to get back to Sean and maybe 3/4 of those trees, all of them.
In city council president role yet,
Okay,
not, can't campaign.
So these are street trees that would go in the parkway?
These would be talking about the tree canopy and plans are to handle the fact that there's way less trees and how's the city handling it without having arborists and how are they gonna meet the goals that we've laid out? It's kind of like an overall, like what's the plan? And getting some more color on that, 'cause I think we're all kind of clear.
I think the parkway is a big piece of that.
yeah,
Yeah, my question, I've had several installed in the parkway and it was a great program and the trees are doing good. I know some other people who have room for trees that would increase the, the shade and stuff, but they're on private property, not part of the parkway. Does the program allow private citizen to get a free tree to put?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anywhere? Good, that's a question.
Yeah.
You don't know.
We can confirm that.
Yeah.
I've got a question. The underground, we were told in our neighborhood, several of us were told that we couldn't plant trees or there wouldn't be trees. If there weren't trees there, we couldn't put trees there because the undergrounding, the plan had been made where the transformers were going to go. So you just couldn't indiscriminately plant a tree in the parkway because they might have already designated that for a transfer.
right.
Is that still?
Maybe it's a coordination point. If you're gonna plant a tree, find out where the transformers are. I think they marked where the transformers are going to be already.
That was,
Yeah. 5 years
the
ago.
markings are gone.
The markings are gone. Okay,
Yeah, I think the ones for 3DD are still set. But I know you're in 3DD. Those ones are still in design. So then we just go back in the washing machine cycle of when and how and yeah.
I think generally the community is against having anything at all delayed with the undergrounding being the reason for it.
Look at West Mountain.
She's got it.
Yes,
The add-on to that, I think that's funny because there's 2 trees in the houses behind me that were cut down. premature treating as well, because of the power lines.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of our.
That's above ground, we're talking underground. All the way.
Way to the roots, right? But if we need.
Everywhere.
We're trying to get more trees, right?
Yeah,
Why would we
right.
cut down mature trees that take 30, 40 years?
I looked it up, so there's two different programs, not specifically for your state, but on the free tree program, so. The city of San Diego does allow you to get a free tree in Parkway, however, SDG&E has a increase your canopy program as well, that allows you to put trees on the private. I think they also agree. Trees for every, all the way up.
Awesome. So,
Old trees.
let's move on to traffic issue task force.
All right, I've got something to talk about. I sent an email to the group, hopefully everybody got it, with I think a link to the news story about the city auditor's report, and then a copy of the city auditor's report. So I recommend taking a look at it. The highlights are pedestrian fatalities continue to increase, but the city is working on it. There's just not enough resources to go around. There's a lot more dangerous locations than there is money. And they are now looking at some equity issues, and that they are seeing that more stuff has gone into wealthier areas, less into less wealthy areas.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, didn't see that coming. Even though that there is a higher rate of pedestrian fatalities and serious injuries in less wealthy areas. So now they're recommending the city work on that. And they're also recommending that the city have some sort of dedicated Vision Zero coordinator, because apparently the city doesn't now. So in other news, I heard back from the city on our big long letter.
Yeah.
And I will send a copy of the response to everybody. I just got it at the end of the day yesterday. And basically nothing really exciting to report. Quickly, just going down through the big long list. East Mountain View, 35th and Arthur doesn't qualify for anything. 32nd Madison and the 805 on-ramp is already on the unfunded needs list for a traffic signal. Monroe between 35th and Bancroft, the 85 percentile speed, which is how they determine if you have a speeding problem. That is only at 28 miles an hour on Monroe, so they don't think that's a problem. 32nd, it's only at 26 miles an hour. I don't know when they measured that, because 32nd between Adams and Madison, but in any case, it's only at 26 miles an hour. West Mountain View and Adams, it's on the unfunded needs list for a crosswalk. Adams and 34th, it's on the unfunded needs list for pop-outs. Adams and 36th is on the unfunded needs list for a crosswalk with the little flashers with the beg button. And Adams East Mountain View does not qualify for anything other than what it already has. Reconfiguring Adams, they do not think it would be a good idea to do. Adams somebody recommended lowering the speed limit on Adams because of the new law that's gone into effect. And the response was that, well, that law doesn't actually go into effect until July of 2024. So maybe once it goes into effect, we can reach back out. Cherokee, Madison, and Ward by the community garden area, they installed the new stop signs. And then the boulevards north of Adams, where we asked for them to look at pretty much all of the main streets, the Mountain Views, Hawley and 35th. And let's see, the 85 percentile speed on Hawley was only 30 miles an hour. North Mountain View was 28 miles an hour. And it doesn't qualify for anything except on Hawley. It could qualify for angled parking. If the residents on that abut Hawley want angled parking, we should contact them and they can look at it further. They don't know if it would actually increase the parking, but it would narrow it a little bit. So that's that. I'll send everybody the.
Interesting. So if we want to have speed limit lowered, we should drive faster?
Yes. Yes. That's how they permit it.
That's logical.
Yeah, how did that, I work up at Encinitas, and they had a few fatalities. And that led to a very quick change in the speed of the surrounding. How can we do that? How is it?
We don't want anybody to die. Why we want it, that's why we want it.
I believe for, even in this case, they're dropping the speed limit from 25 to 1. Most of the surface streets.
Maybe we could leverage that use case.
Yeah, and you're talking about Holly, is the average speed there, or is it 28 miles an hour? 30 miles an hour between Adams Avenue and North Mountain View.
And isn't 30 miles an hour the threshold between survival and death with the interaction with the car? It's like a break point.
And then it gets even better. Okay, and this, we all know where Holly is. I mean, it's 100% residential.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. You put it in the apartment and that car's getting cars at 30 miles an hour.
One of the theories is that if you reduce the lane space, it makes people slow down, so angled parking would reduce the lane space. We might, two things, we might consider asking the neighbors if they would like to have angled parking, which would, I think it increases the number of spaces.
Potentially, they're not sure.
Yeah.
The city can evaluate that.
The other thing is to keep in mind that July of 24, when the new law goes into effect about the ability to lower enforceable speed limits, we should maybe be ready to get on board. It's not before them. Yeah, okay. I'm getting late. This 85th percentile rule that says if 85% of the people are driving at a certain speed, then it must be okay. And so you can't lower speed limit below that. It's being changed because we're realizing that doesn't take into account pedestrians or bicyclists or anybody else who wants to go to the. So it's movement in the right direction, but it's not fast enough. Can I say that?
All right, well, I'm gonna scratch the last item on the agenda. And Sam, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah.
Second? Second. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
With the table. That was good.
Welcome.